Hey, it's Brad Parker, Crystal Palace fan, and you are listening to the Drunkard United Football Show. It's a parade.
Sammy, what an amazing weekend. The world is running out of White Claw because we gave it the big push. Don't even try to, no, hit the fucking mute button before you even start. The morning line changed. If you had, before the show even started, Sam was going to say all those things, you're a big winner. Boom, drop the bomb. Let's start the show. Hello and welcome to the Drunkard United Football Show, a completely biased recap of the English Premier League as told by two common American schmucks. I am your host, Sam Huston, and across the way from me is the world-class Samuel Graham. Sammy, how you doing?
I'm doing well. You came in hot there.
You all weren't ready for that shit,
No.
were you?
I mean, he bulldozed
Oh,
through
it
that
was-
whole open.
Coming in real hot, like Timo Pukki into the Premier League.
You know, I just want to let you all know, like I said, that morning line that said I was, was saying how quickly I would say it all, I just got to let you know what I did is I made sure I knocked it out before they had a chance to win, and I parlayed it with something else, which, Chris, this is your fault. But did you know West Ham, they lost their first match of the season 5-0 to Manchester City? I'm not sure if you knew that, Sam. So we're recording at Studio H, just outside our nation's capital. You can check us out on most podcast platforms like Spotify, YouTube, iHeartRadio, just about anything you could think of. And should you want to chat with us, there's many ways that you can. Sam, tell the good people how they can get in touch.
Sure. You can always get in touch on Twitter, Instagram, or Facebook. We are at DUfootballshow. And then via email, DUfootballshow@gmail.com.
Excellent. Or as I like to say, Sam, and I've said this before, or you can just drive your happy ass over here, as is the case tonight with our guest. We have our good friend JB. JB, how you doing?
Doing okay. Thanks for the invite, Sam. And Sam?
So, JB, who
No
do you
problem.
Who do you root for?
It's a trick question, kind of. So I really don't have an allegiance in the English Premier League.
Okay.
I'm more of a what you call a sellsword. So I go where the money is.
So
Is that similar to an incel?
that
You know
might
those guys that live with their mom in their basements?
that's simply put that's
There
the
might be some synergies there, yeah.
that's the douchiest thing I've ever heard. And I've done a show with that fucking douchebag for 2 years.
I am a douche.
Sam and myself both work in the wine and spirits
Big
industry and both have a deep, passionate love for all things distilled spirits. So as the red-blooded Americans that we are, we vow to have a drink in our hand throughout this show and every show. Sam, we're revisiting a favorite. What we drinking tonight?
That's some shit from Philadelphia.
Oh, fuck off.
Just kidding.
Awesome.
Hashtag douchebag. We're drinking Kinsey 10-year-old American whiskey. It is from Philadelphia. It actually is very good. I was just joking. It's a blend of 10-year to 22-year-old corn whiskey. And the reason it's not a bourbon is because they age it in used American oak. To be classified as a bourbon, as you all know, we've gone over many times, it has to be a brand new American white oak barrel to be considered bourbon. This one comes in at 86.8 proof. That's 43.4% by volume. $39.99 to $44.99 on the shelf. It opens brightly and vibrant on the palate, leading to a floral and vanilla notes. And then finishing with honeycomb and caramel. Excellent little whiskey.
Easy fucking drinking. That's exactly what this whiskey
Excellent
is.
little whiskey.
This is a great, cheap beer and a shot kind of whiskey. Just sitting on your back porch, throwing back a couple of whiskeys, drinking a cold ice house. This is the way you do it. So, boys, let's have a good show.
Let's do it.
Cheers and all around. How about that? Oh, look at that. Even one more at the end.
I like to cheers myself.
So, last season at this time was the
I do
first...
such a bang-up job.
Yeah, you walking all over me talking is a bang-up job you do, too. Hashtag douchebag.
Hashtag douchebag.
Last season we did kind of an overview and we talked about all the teams on the first international break.
Yes, we did.
But let's face it, we did that this whole summer by having different fans come in and talk about their clubs.
Yes, except for the ones that we couldn't find fans of
and
because
then
they're that fucking spectacular.
And then we talk shit about those clubs. So instead of doing the team breakdowns, but we, for anybody new listening to the show or anybody new to, the English Premier League and European football as a whole, it's thought maybe we should take a second to just kind of explain what the league is and how it works. So, Sam, why don't you explain the standings and the hierarchy of the Premier League and how that works?
Sure. Arsenal's the greatest club that's ever been there, that's ever done it, ever will do it, or that is currently doing it. And that's basically the hierarchy of English football.
That's debatable.
All right. So the English tier pyramid of professional leagues has a total of 4 full professional leagues. You have League 2 down at the bottom, League 1. I know it's weird. League 2 is the 4th tier. League 1 is the 3rd tier. Then you have the Championship, and then you have the Premier League. They work off of a system of promotion and relegation. So the bottom 3 each have 24 teams in the league. 4 get relegated, 4 go up from the league below at the end of the season. Usually it's the top 3 in the bottom tiers will go up, and then there's a playoff for that 4th spot. This year, unfortunately, what happened to Bury Football Club in their League 2, I believe, now only has 23 teams. So only 3 teams will get relegated this season. They are basically a round robin, home and away. You play every team in your league, and it's just you get 3 points for a win, 1 point for a draw, and whoever finishes in those top 3 spots get promoted to the league above. Bottom 4 get relegated, and then 4th through 7th will have a playoff to do the 4th team that's going up to the league above. The Championship, on the other hand, only 3 teams go up to the Premier League, and only 3 teams get relegated. The Premier League also only has 20 teams in it.
Right, less teams.
Right, so you have the first 2 in the Championship get automatic promotion, and then 3rd through 6th has a playoff. Last season we saw Aston Villa winning those playoffs. Melissa's Aston Villa winning those playoffs to get into the Premier League in what is widely regarded as the most expensive game in football because of the windfall of money that the winner of that particular game will receive by then having a share of the television rights in the Premier League.
Also, one of my personal favorite matches to watch every year because
it's a lot of fun.
It's do or die. It's such a fun game to watch.
Yeah, it's electric.
Oh yeah, it's wild. So then in the top flight in the Premier League.
So real quick, Sam,
Okay.
I want to take a quick comparisons to the NFL. So you have the Miami Dolphins this year who have flat out pretty much made it known they ain't trying to win a game.
You mean Miami-Dade High School?
Exactly.
That played the Ravens yesterday?
Right, and lost, 59-10, right?
Yeah.
So
You know what's even worse is all those Raven fans celebrating.
I had somebody in my neighborhood tell me that they were going to buy tickets to Miami for the Super Bowl this year based on that game alone. I said, you're ridiculous.
So in that regards, they're doing that purposely because in the NFL, they are going to have the number 1 overall pick. In English soccer, if you did that, fuck you. You're going down a division and you're losing financial gain from it. You are going to lose TV money. You are going to lose more people coming to your games because people are just going to, well, fuck it. Our team doesn't care. Why should we go watch them play?
Yep.
You lose money by not succeeding.
All of those things.
Yep, you still have skin in the game.
Absolutely.
Yep.
You know, there's a reason to not finish in 18th, 19th, or 20th.
Precisely. And then there's reason if you go down to try to immediately win
And get
promotion
back up.
again.
Yep.
Particularly because with the TV money, a lot of that TV money we're talking about is the fact that China is very sold in to the Premier League. And of course, the most recent popularity rise here in the United States as well. There is a ton of money going into that league. And
NBC paid $1 billion?
it's quickly, as everybody always likes to talk about La Liga being the wealthiest league, well, La Liga is really the wealthiest 2 teams. And very quickly, the English Premier League is catching them on wealth.
Oh, yeah.
So,
And if you look at Forbes' list that comes out every year, there's 3 NFL teams, maybe 2, maybe 3 baseball teams for richest sports franchises, but no, between 4 and 6 of that top 10 are always football clubs.
Oh, yeah, always.
It's always Manchester United, Real Madrid, Barcelona. Arsenal used to be up there. Juventus is up there. AC Milan is up there in a lot of cases.
Handful of NFL teams make the top 20, like the Patriots. Well, the Cowboys are the wealthiest team. So Cowboys, Patriots, Redskins are pretty wealthy, even though
because they own their own
And the
stadiums.
New York Giants.
Yep, New York
That's
Giants.
the big thing. They own their own stadiums. The Giants not so because they share what's it called with the Jets.
MetLife Stadium.
Yeah. So they don't outright own it themselves, so they can't claim it as a full asset. Where FedEx, even though it sucks, is fully owned by Dan Snyder, which is $400 million or $500 million gets added to their valuation.
So go back to what you were talking about. What happens to the top teams in the English Premier League?
All right, so finishing first, obviously after those 38 games, you are crowned the champion of England.
Which would be Manchester City.
For the last 2 seasons,
Yes.
yes. So you have the top 3 get automatic qualification into the Champions League group stages. The 4th place team, the old Arsenal Cup, the Arsene Wenger Trophy,
Yep.
you would get a last round of qualification. So you would have to play a team from a smaller country to qualify for the
Right.
Champions League proper to get into the group stage. Teams 5 and 6 are guaranteed Europa League. 5 is guaranteed direct entry into the group stage. 6, I believe, has to go through qualifying.
6 has to go through qualifying, but if both cup winners are not top 5, 6 is eliminated. So,
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. So 5th and 6th go to Europa League. 5th gets the automatic. 6th goes to the last round of qualifying.
Right.
Then you have your 2 domestic cups that happen all season, which ties into this. So the FA Cup and the League Cup, those winners
Can go
into the Europa League,
and then
based on their cup win.
and that could be the 10th place team wins the FA Cup, and then team number 6.
Well, not even.
Team number
we,
7.
We saw
bye-bye.
it. We saw it in recent history with Wigan when they beat Manchester City in the FA Cup final 1-0.
And they were relegated
10 years
they
ago,
were,
maybe
they
now.
Came in 20th
they were
place.
relegated that
Yeah.
season, but still in the Europa League, even though they were a championship club based on their FA Cup winning.
Right, because they won the FA
Yep.
Cup.
So what happened with Wolves this year that they qualified for the UEFA Cup?
That's because Manchester City won all 3 domestic trophies.
Right.
So 6th place and 7th place got in.
So 7th place, because you want to be in the Champions League and you can't play in both tournaments. You can only play in one or the other. So the Champions League is much more lucrative. So Manchester City taking those 2 cup spots, it goes to the next 2 highest placed teams in the league, which would be 6th and 7th place.
And that's where United and Wolves both then made
it to Europe.
to
right.
Europe because City won the FA and the
I'm
League
sure
Cup.
United fans love to know that. That's how they got
Yep.
into.
It's United fans as a whole. You got to imagine last year was just a huge shit sandwich. Not only is your team a shit show, but then you have to choose between the in-town rivals that you find to be an annoyance winning yet another title in record fashion, or your real rivals in the city next to you winning a title. That had to be the biggest. Do you ask a United fan, which team do you want to have win? They're probably no one.
Right.
It's a catch-22.
Yeah, exactly. So the other thing about these 2 tournaments, they're named the Champions League and the Europa League.
I was just about to get to. I was going to get to the domestic tournaments. You go ahead and talk about
So
the European tournaments.
with those 2 tournaments, they're named leagues, but they're not leagues. They're cup competitions. They're I guess modeled, if you will, after the World Cup.
Yep, group
So you have
stages
a
into
group
knockout
stage of 4.
stages.
Right, you have a group stage of 4 teams. Play a round robin home and away against those teams, so you're guaranteed 6 games in Europe, which is more TV money, more
Yep.
blah blah blah. It also the Champions League is mainly the big 5 leagues in Europe. You have a couple others here or there, like we saw Ajax from Holland. You've seen occasionally a team from Scotland and Portugal
occasionally get towards the
mostly,
semis.
right? But mostly it's the top 5 leagues in Europe: England, France, Germany, Italy, Spain.
Yep.
Right, or where most of your teams are coming
Yep.
from.
Few Dutch teams, a few
Right.
Portuguese teams do
Where
well.
the Europa League is the
couple of Turkish
right.
teams do well.
So the Europa League is the second tier competition where you get smaller countries have more of an opportunity to compete on a European stage. That's why you saw Arsenal, for instance, travel to Azerbaijan,
Right.
and Baku last season to play Karabag. I think Wolves actually have to do that this time. So you get a lot of these weird, oddball fucking trips, all around Europe, and it kind of sucks and adds travel time, adds time difference, adds jet lag, and you're playing Thursday to Sunday is really difficult. And a lot of times with TV, last season we saw the Europa League final kick off Arsenal-Chelsea at 11 p.m. Baku time for TV. It was 8 p.m. in England, 3 p.m. here in the States. It's tough.
Well, that's
That's right tough.
That's like any sport in the United States. East Coast time always prevails. So you may have an NBA playoff game going off at 4 o'clock in the afternoon because
It's
7
7
o'clock on the
here,
East
yeah.
Coast is far more important because there's far more asses in seats watching it on television.
Yep. Yeah, basically, and the whole of California is just high anyway, and Washington State now, so they don't care about work anyway, apparently. So they're going to get there regardless.
So now, as we talked about the league is everybody plays everyone twice, once at home, once on the road, and that's it. The season's over. There's no playoffs.
There's no playoffs.
nothing.
There's no nothing. Yep.
But
The way it
that's
should
not
be.
to say that there aren't tournaments.
Right.
There's two different domestic tournaments. There is the League Cup, also known as the Carabao Cup, which we've already kind of hinted at people when we said, "Oh yeah, you know, Everton won their cup draw in the middle of the week." That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the League Cup, and then there is the FA Cup, which is kind of like March Madness in a way. Is probably the best way to describe it to an American sport.
What I always like to say to take the American pretentiousness out of it is the March Madness is more like the FA Cup, because the FA Cup is the oldest knockout competition in the world.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
touche.
then you sound like hashtag douchebag.
What I sound like is hashtag knowledgeable, and the other people sound like hashtag douchebag American pricks, which is why we have such a shitty reputation abroad.
Okay,
We didn't fucking invent everything, you cocksuckers.
I thought we did. America.
No.
Fuck
Fuck
yeah.
yeah. That's funny.
So
I forgot about that
So the
movie.
League Cup is just the 4 domestic leagues, right? So just
Yes,
Premier
just
League,
the professional ranks.
and
correct.
that's honestly, it's a very kind of overlooked cup for the most part.
It's especially the Premier League teams will play a lot of kids
Yeah,
in
but
that cup.
but it's an opportunity to have a young player on your roster who isn't getting any playing time at all. They know
To
they
get a
get
run
to
out,
play,
yeah.
and they're going to play their asses off because they know if they win and go on to the next round, they're going to play another game.
And your backup goalkeeper.
Right. So you
You hear him, he's a cup keeper. You'll
Right.
hear that all the time.
God-
He gets the cups, and this guy's the number one.
God forbid your keeper gets hurt, your guy's seen some action. He's ready to
Right.
go. He's ready to play. But the FA Cup is a little bit different because basically
If you've got the 10,000-pound buy-in, you can enter. Our Drunkard United could enter the FA Cup if we wanted to.
if we had 10 grand and we wanted to fly over and we wanted to play in the FA Cup, Drunkard United could play in the FA
Right.
Cup.
I mean, we'd have to be a registered team with the Football Association, but yeah.
Yeah.
So you get amateur clubs, you get part-time players, you get all sorts in the FA Cup, which is awesome, and a lot of fun.
I mean, I can start a GoFundMe.
For once, I won't actually tell her to hit the
Yeah,
mute
I know
button.
that might not be a bad idea. Just say we
Why?
did it.
Why? Because it was beneficial to me.
Yeah, just say we did it.
I'm just glad that you told Russ to hit the mute button almost as many times as you told me. So it's not like a husband-wife or a male-female. It's just
Oh
this
no, it's
chair.
he's Bill O'Reilly.
Yeah. It's his ego and this chair, and I'm hitting it already. I don't have to look at you to know it's coming.
Tell yourself whatever you need to tell yourself. All right.
So,
please.
but you'll get crazy shit. We talked about a lot last season, where Arsenal had traveled to Sutton United.
Manchester
Was that
City
to
traveled to
Brentford.
Newport County.
And Newport County,
Yeah.
in
where they play rugby and have monster truck rallies at. Like,
Yeah, absolutely. I
That's
mean,
the kind of places
seriously,
the Premier League teams have to go to.
Yeah, the pitch looked like a potato patch.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just bumpy and rugged.
I'm sure Pep loved that.
Oh yeah, the whole team looked like they were having a blast.
Well, and JB, you'd like a couple of the things that they do too. So, like, if one of these small clubs comes to, like, let's say, Luton Town goes to play Arsenal gives them the gate because they're just like, you're gonna make this is a chance for this team to just make a crap ton of money.
Well, it takes care of
Their
their operating
entire
costs for a
season.
year in a lot of cases.
So-
that kind of stuff.
So flat out, like, literally, they will forego their gate that they're the home team for and give it 100% to the team that they're playing. As a hey, there you go. Your
That's
bills
really,
are paid
that's really
for a
sweet
season.
of them. That's really
Yeah,
sweet.
absolutely.
Yeah, well,
so
I mean, if
when
you're
when Arsenal
kick
played
the crap out of somebody 10-0, you should give them a little something
So,
for their
like,
effort.
in that particular example for me, the when Arsenal went to Sutton, they had to build like scaffolding looking stands just to meet the capacity requirements. They had TV cameras on scaffolding, literal scaffolding, to be able to broadcast the game. The changing rooms, didn't have a floor. They were dirt floors. And you've got these, to put it in perspective, and I made this comparison from a couple of seasons ago. Alexis Sanchez played with Arsenal at the time. His car was worth £350,000, right? And that's great. He earned it. I have no problem with that. But just to put it in perspective, the entire playing squad salaries for an entire year and all of their vehicles combined value was less than $350,000.
Wow.
So his car was literally more expensive than the entire squad and their vehicles for a season.
And I believe that was his weekly wages at Manchester before he left.
Yeah, after taxes, yeah.
Yeah.
Roundabouts. But anyway, that's the that's kind of the David and Goliath magic aspect of the FA Cup and why it's so beautiful.
The magic of the FA Cup.
Yep.
And when we get into the first week of January is when the Premier League clubs start to join the tournament. It's in the third
In
round.
round three proper,
Yeah.
because there is quote unquote qualifying for this
Right,
also.
of course.
There's like essentially 6 rounds leading up to that, but it's 3 rounds of qualifying, weeding out all of the amateur clubs basically.
Right. But occasionally an amateur club
Gets
makes it
through.
to that round
Yep.
3, which is always just
Which Sutton
fabulous.
was. Their goalkeeper was also a part-time groundsman and a part-time janitor at the club.
and
Just to make some extra money, did 3 jobs. He was their backup goalie and took on the 2 extra positions.
he needed 3 jobs because he had the
To
same
buy the
build of
pies.
me.
Oh, yeah.
He liked to have a meal or two. Let's say.
Oh yeah.
So hold on, gentlemen. So what you're saying is that D United made it to the FA Cup, qualified, won a couple games, and all of a sudden got a draw against Arsenal at the Emirates.
We'd play at the Emirates.
They would give you the gate.
That's not bad.
Imagine the amount of White Claw we could buy with that, Sammy.
That's not bad. And if we spread our cards around correctly, all of us would be able to play.
Yep.
No, because y'all would be drinking Buckfast,
Yes, we would.
In the changing room.
and you would
Beforehand.
not make it through the first half.
Nope, not at all. We would just look at Josh and Brian and go, handle this.
I've played drunk before. I'll be fine.
So, one last thing. We were talking about Europa and we were talking about the Champions League. The Champions League, as Sam said, is all of the teams in Europe. The best way to kind of describe this, again, comparing it to American sports, this is the Super Bowl of European soccer. This is at the end, the 2 best teams playing each other that get through the tournament to win. So you can have, like what happened last season, you can have a team that did not win their domestic league, aka Liverpool, be the best team in Europe.
Well, the final was the 3rd best team in England in Tottenham.
Right.
They were playing against. So
Yep.
neither of the 2 teams in the final won their domestic league.
And in Europa, it was the 4th
And one of them is also historically shit. So.
Actually, Chelsea was 3rd. So Chelsea was the 3rd place team against you, the 5th place team, and Tottenham was the 4th place team.
Yeah,
against the
and
2nd
both
place
finals
team.
were all English.
Yep.
Which we've seen before an all-English final in the Champions League when Manchester United took on Chelsea in Russia 7 years ago or so.
And one beautiful thing that I just want to talk
Had a
about,
Madrid derby in the final twice.
talk about correspondence here is from Otis Anderson. He showed me a great gif of high knees Otis Anderson, of every Liverpool fan when you start to talk about them losing the league, and it shows 2 hands separating a katana, and written on the katana is 6 time, and you already know what the rest of it says.
Right, that's pretty good.
Like, every single time that's the first thing a Liverpool fan's going to bring up.
Of course.
Even though they still don't win the domestic league. All right, so we're going to do this really quick. I just want to take a quick glance at the league as a whole. We're only 4 games in, so this is just, I don't want to be so trivial as to give it like an A or a B or a C, like a grade like that.
Oh,
but
that's what I'd planned on.
Okay, well, that's fine. Go ahead. I mean,
Mel, what do I do now?
well,
Is it best out of 5 then? We got to give them a grade. We got to rate them.
just say they're doing
Happy
well,
faces.
above expectation, below expectation. They're meeting expectation.
So boring.
Say we should really have a pre-show meeting.
Like how many shots of Malort?
I mean, if you read,
Let's do that. How we rate them based on shots of Malort. So, like, for instance, let's just say it now. City and Liverpool, no shots of Malort.
Right. Very good. Actually, you know what? That's perfect. Shots of Malort. My producer actually produced something, and now she needs to produce the mute button. All right. So we're going to break this into groups. We're going to do the top 6. We're going to do the dark horses. We're going to do the newly promoted clubs, and then we're going to do the rest of the bottom half of the table. Now, precursor. Yes, we know, Brad, your team is not bottom half of the table currently. They're in 4th place. We know this. but this is how we're grouping them to talk about them, okay?
Right. And even though Manchester United's in 8th and Chelsea's in 15th, they're part of the top 6.
Right. That's what
It's
we're
not
talking
league
about.
position. It's traditional place in English football.
So you pretty much already said it. No shots on Malort for City and Liverpool. They're clearly the best two teams.
I mean, you might give
going
City a
away.
half a shot having that draw.
You know what? Let's see how Liverpool does against Spurs as well, and
Yeah.
that would be the baseline. You know.
Fair enough.
Well,
yeah,
yeah.
so I would agree with no shots.
What do you think, JB? Clearly the best two teams in the league. Everybody else is way behind them.
I agree 100%.
Excellent. So, Arsenal and Spurs seem to have the talent, but they also have glaring weaknesses, which is why I kind of put them just behind the next two.
One of us has more glaring weaknesses than the other,
Okay.
seeing as we're 2 points clear of them.
Okay, well, their problem is they're just like a mess right now. Your problem is you can't stop people from scoring goals.
Hey, we're 2-1-1, bro.
Arsenal's problem is that they just try to walk the ball in every time. My opinion.
Got Sam while he was mid-drink. Well done. So he
Been
couldn't
the
respond.
same thing for 6 years. Welcome to being an Arsenal supporter. I'm used to that.
So both
I would probably give Arsenal a half a shot. I'd give Tottenham a full shot.
okay.
Because Tottenham, there seems to be something under the behind the curtain that's going on there.
So then Chelsea and United. Both squads are young, but somehow Chelsea's young feels better than United's young, doesn't it? Because
Much.
United's young just feels like it's wrong.
Yeah. So Daniel James would be the only highlight for me
Right.
from the start of the season for United.
I think Basaka's played well in the new
But
role.
he's just been steady Eddie. He hasn't done anything major.
Right.
I think he maybe
And-
has one assist.
and I think Maguire has been perfectly fine. But the problem is Lindelof next to him is just fucking soft.
A big softy.
He's so
He's a
soft.
Care Bear.
Yeah.
And they need to figure out their penalty situation.
Yeah. That's the truth.
Well, that ain't just. I give United 2 shots of Malort just for Pogba alone. So we give them 3 shots all day for being the shit show that they are. I would give.
I would agree with 3 shots of Malort for United because, again, there's something going on there that we're not seeing, that something's fucked up.
Chelsea, I'd give 1 shot of Malort. It's boneheaded plays, but it's like it's young, dumb, boneheaded plays.
Yeah,
and you
it's more growing pains, and you can see what they're trying to do.
It's there.
So if you watch Week 1, Man U and Chelsea, Man U completely dominated that game 4-0.
Oh, yeah.
Both teams have gone in opposite directions, in my opinion, since that game.
Oh,
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. And Mason Mount and Tammy Abraham have been massive upsides.
Yeah.
So I would give them between 1 and 1.5 shots of Malort because they will need to figure out their defensive side of the ball.
Of course.
But I think once Rudiger's back from injury, they'll be okay.
I just need Zuma to keep fucking up so that we can get him on the cheap because Chelsea is desperate to get rid of him. Pretty simple, right? It feels like even in that 4-0 loss, it was Chelsea lost 4-0 because those kids weren't ready to play in a stage like Old Trafford.
Right.
And
Especially
all
in
they've
the
done is
opening game of the
respond
season. Yeah.
since then.
Yeah,
You
Yeah,
know?
I would agree with that.
And they had Liverpool coming up in the Super Cup right after that, maybe looking ahead to that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Absolutely. And then the trip to Istanbul in general in the middle of the week isn't an easy one.
Again, equivalent to America for American listeners is you're going from San Francisco to New York
Right.
to play a game.
As an
And-
NBA team, but there's
right.
no
And
West
then
Coast road trip.
Right.
You go there, then you come back.
Yeah, you fly over to New York, you play a game, you fly back to San Francisco, and you play a game 3 days later. Like,
Correct.
That will fuck with your body.
Absolutely.
So let's go ahead and get into the dark horses. Wolves struggling with their schedule, it would appear, for the most part. You know, it's you know what? It's fucking qualifying for Europa.
Yeah, absolutely. But what they're doing that Burnley didn't is they're getting some result. They're getting something out of these games. And what are they, 3 draws and a loss?
Right.
So they're getting something from the games where these were all losses for Burnley last season. So I'm hesitant to give them more than 2 shots of Malort, but I think they have a good enough squad that they should be doing better than they are.
I give them 2 shots of Malort with you, only because they've been successful in Europa. They are on fire in Europa. They've
Yeah.
done.
I mean, they're
amazing-
putting
they
their
are
cards
kicking the
into it,
shit
yeah.
out of people. They are doing really well in Europa.
Absolutely.
This past week, losing to Everton, that shows that's a bigger glare on their team to see that they're maybe not deep enough, maybe not ready for the for the length of what the league is going to be, for the length of what Europa is going to be. I can see them being that kind of team that finds one avenue, and that's the avenue they're going. It's going to be, we're going to try to succeed in Europe.
I think
we're going to try to succeed in the FA Cup.
But I think they're good
enough
enough they won't get relegated.
Oh, no.
I mean, I think they'll stay up and be very safe. So, I mean,
I think they're 10th or 11th. Personally.
And actually, you know what? I might have to take it down to 1.5 shots of Malort because they proved the American Kyle Martino right on last week's pre-match.
Yeah, but Kyle Martino also had him winning. What's your thoughts on Wolves so far?
I mean, Diogo, like you said, in Europe,
dismissed that one pretty quick.
Diogo Jota cannot stop scoring in Europe right now. Yeah. And he was a noticeable omission from that Wolves and Everton game. I was really surprised that he wasn't in the squad.
He didn't have a knock? I thought he had picked up a little
possibly,
injury.
Yeah, but if he's in that side, possibly could have been a different game. But so far, I think that's been the most fantastic game of the season so far in the EPL.
That was a lot of fun.
That was a really fun game to watch. And
that was
again,
a good game to watch.
And again, going into Everton, that was a big win for them.
I mean, they actually had
they lost last year.
Yeah, they actually had a Super Sunday that delivered.
Yeah,
both of our games that day were fucking wild.
Really great
they
games.
were really good games. Frenetic, just end-to-end stuff.
So Everton can't seem to escape the occasional mental lapse. And I'll be honest, I'm worried about this week going to Bournemouth because we suck on the road. Bournemouth's good at home. And the constant pessimist in me that is an Everton fan looks at that and goes...
That's a football fan, though.
And just goes,
really, unless you're a City supporter.
We're somehow going to fuck this up.
Yeah.
When if we want to be a team that's challenging to be one of the top 6... we need to just know we're walking into Bournemouth and we're winning. So I would give Everton a shot and a half right now, my lord.
And not because of your performances or anything else, and not even because I want to piss you off. I'm giving Everton 10 shots of my lord just because Pickford likes to get the rave on before getting a cheeky Nando's at 3 a.m.
Okay. You know what? Acceptable.
That's what I'm going with.
But you forgot. Not just 10 shots of Malort before getting the rave on, before getting some Nando's. He likes to get into a bar fight, too.
Oh, that's true.
Let's not forget that.
Performance-based, I'd probably only give you 1 shot of Malort. I thought you've had a pretty decent start to the season. Yeah. You look like you're figuring it out. One blight, obviously, would be the injury to JPEG.
Yeah, that doesn't help.
From rushing him into action because of Schneiderlin's red card.
Right. Yeah,
it's just unfortunate.
Which is funny because
basically
now you
Morgan
see
Schneiderlin strikes again.
Well, and now you see the way Delph played in that game against Wolverhampton. Like Schneiderlin is not going to sniff the field at all. He's only coming on if Gomez or Delph gets injured.
Yep.
So let's see here. Going to West Ham. West Ham looks strong, really, really strong. The only thing I'm worried about is what if someone gets hurt.
Yeah, I would give them 1 shot of Malort at the moment. I think they're flying high. This is one of their best starts of the season since I've been a football fan. And their squad is very thin, though. They looked a shell of themselves without Felipe Anderson and without who was it? It was
Sebastian Halle,
but the game before.
Yeah, the Brighton match where they drew.
They looked a shell of themselves from the start of the season. I mean, besides that 5-0 to Manchester City at the start of the season. Hi, Chris.
Chris, that's a bit. It's yours. Fucking own it. That's yours now. I'm actually giving them a half a shot, despite the Manchester City loss. They look good. They look really good, and I have a feeling that team is going to quietly be sitting in 7th and 8th, and just don't be surprised if you somehow see a team like Manchester United and a team like Chelsea in 9th and 10th, and you see Everton, Leicester, and West Ham all in front of them. Would not surprise me one bit.
Interesting. I can actually see that.
So Leicester is high flying. Right? Leicester's really high flying, cruising along. But here's my problem with Leicester. What's their plan B?
They don't have one.
Right.
They don't have one. I mean, I'd give them a shot of Malort for that reason and that reason alone because they started the season very well.
Yeah, they look great. They're playing
as you'll see from my pick for next weekend.
Haha, there's a little foreshadowing. So the newly promoted teams.
That's what they call it in the biz, Mel.
Heard foreshadowing.
Foreshadowing.
So newly promoted teams. I'm going to talk about your team. Yeah, don't talk. You're good. we just kind of everybody gave each other the universal. We need to speed this shit up, and then everybody suddenly wants to go on tangents. Settle the fuck down. Daddy's driving the bus. Drunk Uber passenger. No, don't even touch the mute button.
35 minutes.
Mute yourself. Jesus. So, Aston Villa, pretty simple. They need to win games.
Yeah, they do, because I'm sick and tired of Malort, Taylor.
Yeah. I think they're going to be safe.
Yeah.
I really do. But I probably have to give them, I'd say probably 2 shots of Malort. I think they were robbed by the referee against Palace.
You think?
But that's a game that you need to win. That's a game that you need to come out of on top. And they had chances to do so before Kevin Friend did it. And you should have been 2-0 up at least at that point, and it wouldn't have mattered.
We should have been angry, but that shouldn't have been the game loser for us.
Correct.
So a few thoughts on that. I would give them 3 shots of Malort because that's the exact same number of shots Melissa's had to do so far this season.
Bless your little cotton socks.
And if Lindsay was here, she would have had to do 3 shots of Malort, but I ended up having to do 4 because their only win was against us. My thought is this: can this team? We keep comparing them to Fulham, and last season, all we kept saying about Fulham was they need to start winning. They need to start winning. They need to start winning. Suddenly, they're being relegated, and that's what we said the whole season.
Well, now, I don't think it's going to go that far simply because they've got Tom Heaton. They also have Tyrone Mings, who looks up to snuff. Got called up to England.
Yep.
He looks the business. Tom Heaton, again, is on the bench behind Jordan Pickford for this international break.
And Pope. Pope's the number 3.
And Nick Pope from Burnley's the number 3, as we talked about over the summer with the goalkeepers. But they also have Wesley up front, who's looking like he's getting there. And if you can get Jack Grealish scoring goals, he's been close a few times. I think once you see him break the duck, I think you'll see a little bit of a windfall from him.
I think they're going to be okay too, but we still keep looking at that.
Break the duck. Now, it's been a while since I've asked Sam Graham to break down some terminology for me, but I'm going to have you break that one down.
Well, like a duck is like a 0, right?
Uh-huh. Oh, okay.
And when you break the duck, you get 1.
I just needed some clarification on that. I hadn't heard it before. Sorry.
All right, so
That's an oldie.
moving on to the Canaries, Norwich. I'd give them only 1 shot of Malort, but this team's going to lose a lot of games 5-3.
Yeah.
Timu Pukki. That's the name.
I think he's the only bright spot. That
Todd
is-
Cantwell as well.
I think that's how you say spot and finish. I think.
Nice ad lib.
Thanks. I think that he's probably their bright spot, and the reason that their Malort shots aren't too high for me.
Yeah.
But you brought up a good point a couple of weeks ago, just wondering, whether or not teams are going to start to figure them out, and if everything is solely going through him.
You saw it with West Ham. If
he's getting too much, going to start getting too much attention, can somebody else step up and be that difference? So I would probably give him 2 shots of Malort right now. Yeah. And if Pukki starts to fall off at all, their Malort shots are going to grow quickly.
Sheffield United. Can they keep up what they're doing? Because, their 3 center backs like to play striker and then somehow make it back to center back. And it's like squirt soccer. Remember when your kid first started playing soccer?
Yeah.
And everybody gets set in positions and they put the ball in the middle of the field and the coach looks at every player and goes, okay, little Johnny, you are right fullback. You stay out here. And okay, little Billy, you're center midfielder. You stay here. And the minute the ball gets kicked, 10 kids surround the ball and just follow the ball all around the field.
But little Billy Sharp steps up and scores goals.
Exactly.
Got it in. Zing.
I
Not
would,
really a zing, it's a compliment.
I would only give them 2 shots of Malort. Just they're playing well.
Getting a draw away at Chelsea as a newly promoted team, even with the problems they have. Chelsea, that has the problems,
right? But
that's
Chelsea's going to give teams that opportunity.
No, I know,
early
but
in
that's
the
still
season.
a respectable result, is what I'm saying. They could have, as a newly promoted team, they could have just played within themselves and capitulated.
This feels like Blackpool.
Yeah, 45 minutes and 45 seconds. Right after the start of the half, they come down and make Chelsea look like schoolboys.
Yep.
I mean, I think there's something to the team, and it's a respectable result what they got last time out. So I'm only gonna give them 2 shots
Okay. Yeah,
at the moment, but it is a bit helter skelter for me.
So let's go to the rest of the bottom half of the league. The current 4th place team, Crystal Palace, finally got a great start.
Yeah, they finally started quickly.
Can they keep Zaha is the question.
I mean,
Did they lose him
have
over the
to
fall?
until
I mean, over
January.
the January,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, do you lose him in January is really the big question.
I don't know.
You know what? I only give them a half a shot of Malort. They're exceeding expectations. They're playing great football for what they are as a club. They are doing very, very well.
I'm going to premise this by saying I love you, buddy, but they get 4 shots of Malort from me just because Brad's a dick.
Brilliant.
Half a shot based on results.
So, Watford, will sacking the coach fix the problems?
So maybe because their biggest problem has been their defense. I mean, they can't score goals, but at least they'd be picking up points if their defense was right. And Quique Sanchez-Flores knows how to organize a defense.
Right.
So I'd say so far, I'd probably give them 10 shots of Malort. They've been abysmal.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm with you. 10 shots.
They've been terrible. And I mean, I don't like them anyway, except for the fact that Elton John once owned them and is their biggest fan. But Fat Drake just annoys the absolute fuck out of me.
This could be the surprise team. There's always, every couple of seasons, a surprise team that at the end of the year, you're like, wow, how the fuck did they go down?
It's
and it's a start like
go
this.
down. I thought you meant normally a surprise team that stays up after a shit start.
No.
And it's normally Crystal Palace.
Right.
For the situation I described.
Right.
But I think you might be right. Watford, if they can't fix it quick, if they're still struggling for form and struggling for confidence by Christmas, they're in real trouble. They could be the first 3-manager team since Fulham last season.
Bournemouth, not their normal hot start. They're not at all. Normally, they're normally one of those teams you see in 3rd or 4th place after the first 5 weeks of the season.
Yeah, but you've got. I think their last performance was their best performance of the season so far.
Yeah.
And with these couple of weeks, they've only missed 1 or 2. Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson got called up to Scotland and England, respectfully. I think you're going to see most of their squad rested, having trained for the last 2 weeks. I think they're going to be okay, and I think they're going to come back. I would probably give them 3 shots of Malort to start, but they're on the ups. I'm quickly pouring those shots down the drain because of that last performance. I thought they played very well. I'm
giving them 4 shots because they should have started better. They had opportunities to win games and they didn't. And I'm not. This was the problem I had with them over the summer that I told you, that I think that maybe everybody's figured them out, and I'm not so sold that they're completely fixed.
All right.
JB, you look like you had a thought on Bournemouth. Yes? No?
No, agree with the slow start, but I mean the talent's there. Ryan Fraser, Callum Wilson, Joshua King,
who's Danish.
Yeah,
I just always like to say that.
These
It's
guys
a very not Danish name.
These guys were their surprise. I think of one of the surprises of the EPL last season, and top 10 at this point. Looking at them, maybe a stretch, but I mean I don't think they're in any danger of relegation.
Yeah, no, I don't think they are either, ultimately. Burnley, back to being Burnley. I give them 2 shots just because they're on the bottom half of the table, but, Burnley's back to being Burnley.
Totally agree.
Yeah. Southampton, consistently inconsistent would be the best way to describe them.
Yeah, I give you that.
So for me, I would give Southampton 5 shots of Malort, simply because you go and you draw Manchester United, you deserve an extra shot, because if you do that, why can't you win games?
Yeah, I don't know. I just don't. Ever since they did the stupid airplane thing, I can't get past them. But for real. But they haven't gotten Che Adams off and running. They still don't score a ton of goals. I'm still not sold on them defensively necessarily. I mean, Angus Gunn's going to have a lot of work to do this season, and I don't know that he'll be up to the task.
Yeah.
Much like Tom Heaton had so much work to do for Burnley and now for Villa, but is up to the task in my opinion. I think they very well could get relegated despite their league position currently. I'd probably give them 4 shots of Malort as well.
Got it. Newcastle, great new signings, but will Mike Ashley ultimately become a distraction?
Joshua King's Norwegian, by the way.
Okay, Norwegian, not
Danish. Sorry.
Very good.
But I knew he was Scandinavian.
So-
Fact check.
I just live fact checking here on the Drunker United Football
How
Show.
about
Look at
that?
that. You got a live fact check. You got an in-show meeting that we should have talked about pre-show. God, you get everything with us.
No wonder this show's running long already.
The People's Podcast.
Newcastle, Newcastle, I give an entire bottle of Malort to simply because they're owned by Mike Ashley.
100% agree. Even though, the other thing is their good luck charm is an American who happens to be a friend of ours.
Yes,
Picked up 4 points while he was overseas.
In fact, I say bottle of Malort in a paper bag, being drunk while drunkenly blacked out, leaning against the dumpster fire. That is what I give Newcastle.
I'm going to give them no shots of Malort because they beat the Spurs at Spurs, which made my heart happy.
Oh, heard. And then finally, Brighton. Are they doing enough?
No.
No. Okay.
No. With their 3-0 opener, I think they should have followed that up with a little bit more consistency, and they haven't. I'm going to give them 3 shots of Malort. I think Graham Potter needs to take notice of what he's doing there and be very careful.
I give him 2 shots of Malort, but I'm holding the bottle waiting to pour more because the offense has gotten much improved. So
I worry that they're leaving themselves too exposed.
Yeah.
I mean, the first game of the season was great, and I think they hit. It was Watford, wasn't it? I think they hit them, kind of quickly, kind of blitzed them a little bit. But not as bad as Manchester City blitzing West Ham that opening day of the season. But I think that he's now leaving too many gaps at the back, and I think they could find themselves in trouble if they don't shore that up quickly.
All right, it's time to get into what we were actually the meat and potatoes of the show, even though we've already given ourselves a whole serving of steak. So let's go back for a second serving, Sammy.
Yeah, I like second servings. But I do want to just quickly point out something as just to preface this, if I can find ours. So Mr. JB here, our guest,
yes.
We brought him in to talk fantasy, and you'll do his full intro in a second. He's ranked second in our league, knowing dick shit about soccer, but knowing everything about fantasy. I am in 11th, knowing everything about football and nothing about fucking fantasy. So this is the section.
Where am I?
This is the section.
I believe I'm ahead of you because of my 93-point week last week.
You jumped up to 5th, mate.
Yeah,
You had a really good week last week.
I did. Everybody on my team scored.
Yeah, Sheik Sam over there signed Sergio Aguero and made him his captain.
He wouldn't have asked if he didn't already know the answer to that.
I know. So this is the section of the show where I take off for the most part.
Okay, go ahead and crack one. There we go. That's a boy.
Enjoy yourselves.
So
Catch you later.
So let's face it. As far as American culture goes, and this is actually kind of hurting the NFL in a way, people aren't necessarily team loyal anymore. It's all about fantasy sports. It's all and particularly even in American football, it's about week to week fantasy sports that is a gambling element that wins money, and it's more fun to sit at your home with a case of beer and a plate of wings and your amazing flat screen TV with your iPad next to you, checking all your teams that you're doing in fantasy sports. So it's a kind of a crazy thing, but soccer has a fantasy element, but it's considerably different than what American fantasy sports are. So
can I also say one quick thing about what you just said, actually? The people still go to live football because of the atmosphere and how crazy it is, especially in England, right? Where the country's small enough, it's a 3-hour train ride on the express train to Newcastle from London. You can go in a day, support your team 3 hours away.
Right.
The sheer size of the United States, you don't get that. And then, especially here for us as a Redskins fan, right? We have a melting pot of people here because of all the government jobs and all of the military installations we have around
very
here.
Very transient area. Yeah.
It's very much not even a home game, really.
yeah, we play the Cowboys this next weekend.
Right.
It is a Cowboys home game.
Essentially.
It's not a Redskins home game. It's a Cowboys
at
home game.
Minimum, it'll be 50-50.
Yeah, half the stands will be Cowboy fans.
and 3/4 of those twats have never been to fucking Dallas, which irritates me.
It's true.
It's in the same goddamn country. I went to England to support my team when I was 19 and a waiter. The least you could do is make it to fucking Dallas.
So part of our Houston contingent, Smokey, is a big Dallas fan. So Smokey, I look forward to all the back and forth we're going to have on Twitter this weekend as you kick the shit out of us, but I'm going to talk crap the whole fucking time.
So, yeah, I just wanted to get that in there. That's part of the thing about watching at home and doing those sorts of things is the atmosphere in NFL games kind of sucks.
So
Because you only get home fans, and if your team's getting beat, like it's just a dismal atmosphere.
Hey.
You're not even hearing one subsection cheer. You know what I mean? Like you do in England, because you have those easy away trips. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, Mel, hit the hashtag douchebags mute button. I'm talking to JB over here.
It was my first one of the season. Jeez.
I am in control, bitches. I am in control.
You know what it is? He slept in this weekend because he didn't have to get up at 7 a.m.
That's what it
hungover
is.
for games.
Right. He rewatched Game of Thrones. He fucking thinks he's
Yeah.
Jon Snow.
Both
over
of
there.
you, both of you, mute buttons. I have questions. So, JB, how long have you been doing
Send me
fantasy
the link
football?
to the Island
EPL?
game.
So
I'll just
EPL.
open my
So a
beer.
few years ago, I was invited to play in a Premier League fantasy league with some coworkers based in my Glasgow office. Shout out to Jamie Moore and Andy Cameron. Me being the only American, I figured I know soccer, I know teams, I know players. I gave it a shot and I failed miserably.
Okay.
Since then, I learned from what works and what doesn't work, trends, strategies, etc. And as Sam mentioned, like so far, 4 weeks in, I'm sitting second on the table in DU United Fantasy League.
Yeah, 257 points. And we should mention the first place guy, Bob Hartman.
Absolutely.
Do we know him?
I think so.
Well, I'm
All
chasing him.
Bob, I don't know you. Reach out. I need to know you.
303.
Yes. And,
He's got.
and mind you, by the way, the key thing to know about the Drunkard United Football League is that Sam Graham reaches out to me and says, hey, should we do a fantasy football league? I say, no, we shouldn't. If we're going to do something, we should do it right. Later on that night at 3 o'clock in the morning, while talking to our friend Lindsay, he's all drunken. He goes, we're
drunk.
starting a fucking fantasy league.
I was
To be fair, I've been chirping at you for the last year or so.
I was drunk in Ocean City, and I was like, yeah, Fantasy League sounds good.
Yeah.
And Lindsay and somebody else, was it you that commented
Possibly.
on that Facebook post? You were like, yeah, what's up with the fantasy?
Let's do it.
Yeah. And then I was like, all right, twisted my arm enough.
Yeah.
That's how most leagues start.
Just enough whiskey in me to get the admin right and to also be easily persuaded.
So hopefully next year we'll get something a little bit better. This was kind of like literally Sam Graham hammer time to just go start league, push the button.
Cheers.
Yeah. Well, I said there's going to be no prizes. I got the admin spot on.
Hence why my team name is Big Sam's Matter, because my opinion matters. Damn it, fucking drunk Uber passenger. So, how many leagues are you currently in?
So currently, I'm in 2 Premier League fantasy leagues. Obviously, one with the DU United, the prestigious DU football show table, and then I'm also in the like I mentioned, one with my coworkers that are based in Glasgow, Scotland, where I represent America as the only American.
I'll be in Glasgow next Wednesday.
Nice.
Yep.
He'll be easy to find. He'll be the American, hopped up, super blackout drunk on a shit ton of Buckfast.
So, one of my friends, Jamie Moore, as I mentioned, look him up. He could tell you all about the Old Firm, which is the big
It's
topic.
Celtic and Rangers. Celtic founded in the basement of a Catholic church, Rangers being a Protestant club, and through the late 80s and early 90s in the religious riots, had a boatload of fights, killings, stabbings, outside of games, shooting flares off. To this day, they still have crowd trouble in the games. And
I mean, it could
Celtic
be-
is my Scottish team.
So maybe you shouldn't bring that up then
I-
while you're there.
And I'm a Celtic supporter, yeah.
It-
For my Scottish team. I have a team in every country, but Arsenal's got my heart.
I was going to say, Sam, it could be the fact that both sides still, as they walk to the stadium for that derby, is they drink an entire bottle of Buckfast along the way.
Yeah.
Might have somebody. Are you aware of what Buckfast is?
I am not.
It is
Scottish Mad Dog 2020.
But it fucked a Red Bull because it has caffeine in it.
Hey, it's Jamie Vardy in a bottle.
Love Jamie Vardy.
So, are there websites that use a more American style, a la like normally in American football, it's all head to head and it's a week to week thing where what we do, and you also draft a team that is your team. So if I drafted, let's say, Gylfi Sigurdsson, nobody else could get him. Where what you currently see for the EPL is if you want to buy Aguero, you could buy Aguero. There's 5 teams in our league that have Aguero. Is there a draft style website, and is there a head-to-head website where it's more week-to-week and not rotisserie point style?
Yeah, good question, Sam. So there are various types of leagues. Classic style, which is the format that DU Football Show uses. Here, teams are ranked based on their selected players, total points in a game. There's also, like you said, the head-to-head format, which is where teams play against everybody else's squad. So technically, you play against someone who has the same lineup as you. Like you said, you could play against somebody that has your Aguero. You both have Sterling. You both have Mane. So that's really like a wash. So it really, in that type of format, it could come down to the value picks that you select. In that type of format, 3 points are awarded for a win and 1 point for a draw. With both of these formats, you have a starting budget of $100 million for player selection.
Right.
Each player. Goalies, defenders, midfielders, forwards are assigned a specific price value. Note to this value is based on a secret algorithm.
It also fluctuates during the season
Yes.
by a couple 100,000 potentially.
Yes, exactly. And that's based on like this algorithm that it's kept very secret. But basically, it's based on the number of times that the player has been transferred in and out of a squad. So if you look at a guy like Timu Pukki, for example, he started out the season at a value of $6.5 million. Now today his value is at $7 million. So that's based on the fact that one, he's had a good start to the season, 5 goals, and
Everybody started picking him up.
everyone started picking him up.
Yep.
So the inverse of that, so if you could look at like a goalkeeper like Alisson for Liverpool. His value at the start of the season was $6 million. He got hurt in this calf in week 1, midway through their matchup. A lot of folks dropped him, so his value now is $5.9 million.
And the minute he's healthy, everybody's going to buy
boom,
him on the cheap.
yeah. So you can go back, but you got to keep an eye on that. So when he is healthy again, and Jurgen Klopp says, "Yep, we're ready to roll him out there again,"
The value might jump before he actually plays a match.
so you got to go get him. But basically, it's the number of times a player's been transferred in and out of the team. Like I said, you use your $100 million budget to select a starting 11 plus bench spots. So you'll have 2 goalkeepers, 5 defenders, 5 midfielders, 3 forwards. There are also draft leagues, which is kind of more familiar with like the American style of like fantasy. What do you call it, Sam? What's American football called? Throw ball?
American football.
Yeah. Throw
If you want to
ball,
get technical,
handball.
if you want to get technical, it's called hand egg.
Hand egg. That's right. That's what I was looking for.
'Cause
Hand
the
egg.
ball's oblong like an egg.
Yeah. That's what I was looking for. That reference there. So there is no budget in this particular format since a player can only be taken once in a particular league.
Got it. So we did, I want to say it was like, we did it 4 years ago, Sam. It was like Fan Checks or
Yeah, it was
something
a
like
shite
that.
website.
And it was a horrible website.
But it was fun. I drank almost a case of Coors Tan Can that night.
Oh, we were
You know,
going
but I had
deep
the little,
on the tan cans.
I had the little squat bottles.
Yeah, we
That was
were.
a good night. I don't know how I made it home, to be honest with you. That's all I really remember from that night. And then it was right when the NWA movie came out, Straight Outta Compton.
Yep.
And I had a tank top on, and someone took
It was our boy Big Pat.
took a rather compromising photo of me where I looked very effeminate, and it said "Straight Out of Sleeves."
Yes, it did.
Was the meme that he made of me. It was very funny.
Where is this meme?
Yeah, it's I'll
Buried
have
in
to-
someone's iPhone.
Oh no, it's definitely on Facebook somewhere. I will definitely find that photo. It was fabulous. Because ideally, I mean, looking to the future for what I want to do with a quote unquote Drunkard United league, I'd like to actually do a draft style league, and one player, one team. That's it. Kind of treat it like the NFL style. But I gotta find a better website than the website we used the last time, because that website fucking sucked. And then it's also a matter of figuring out points too.
My issue with that though is
PremierLeague.com does have that type of format.
yeah,
Oh, very good.
they do have a draft style, but my thing is we're gonna have to limit the league at that point because there's only so many players.
Oh God, yeah. Oh God,
So
yeah.
I
It would
still
be
like having the option of
10
doing
people probably.
right. I still like having the option of doing a transfer budget league because we can include all of DU Nation, and we're ever growing, mate.
I hear you, ever growing.
You know.
By the way, the guy in first, Bob,
Uh-huh.
the very handsome Bob,
Uh-huh.
he's an Aston Villa supporter. Comes to us
Oh,
through Lindsay.
very good from Lindsay.
I
Excellent.
Facebook
Well, thank
stalked him and sent him a friend request. So
And by the
Bob.
pictures, he's the reason for the White Claw shortage.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding.
Very good.
Just kidding. I'm sure you're a lovely bloke.
So, because also being the constant, I would say, quote unquote, program director that my wife likes to call me, I would see a great show with us doing a draft here at the house.
Oh, no, that'd be fun.
Like,
Yeah.
Having like a dozen of our asshole friends here. We do a draft. We get blind, stinking drunk, and then we turn on the microphones.
Well,
I don't know if I want that footprint.
That
Anytime-
means that you're out because we have a dozen drunk ass idiot friends.
Anytime someone drafts somebody that's already been picked, they have to do a shot of Malort.
oh, yes, that would be brilliant.
Well, you'll never get the Eastern European names out by the end of it. When you're looking for filler players, but please,
From
no, I would
experience,
just
Chomp,
go,
bitch.
this guy.
I want this one.
from experience, drafting while drinking is never a good idea.
I
no,
nominate
that's-
producer
that's why
Mel
it'll be
as the
fun.
commissioner.
Yeah, that's why it'll be fun.
That's exactly why we do it, JB.
Okay.
That is
Yeah.
exactly why we do it.
What would be a professional, good, appealing show to the masses? This.
Yes.
Do the fucking opposite of that. That's how we roll on this show. Have you heard either of the two transfer roundups?
We'll do,
Brilliant golden radio,
we'll do
sir.
a draft special and sell it on Patreon.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Hey, there it is.
Oh, I
Only
guess,
for-
guess
You
we
can have it-
might have to
you
talk
can have
about
a
it
draft
tonight.
special for $49.95. It comes with a free Popeye's chicken sandwich.
Red Balls gives you wings.
In your imagination.
So give us a little bit of a an idea of how you would select a team in the EPL versus how you would select a team in NFL.
Yeah, so obviously you want to have the best team possible. So I do a little bit of research before I select my team. I look at values, trends, player form. Always look at a player's form over any particular fixture. That's what I say.
Okay.
There's certain literature like on the Scout, on PremierLeague.com, as well as fantasy football subreddit are good sources for player selection insight. So like your big hitters are going to be your Mo Salahs, who's 12.5 million, Kun Aguero 12.1, Raheem Sterling 12.3, Sadio Mane 11.5, Harry Kane 11. All of these players are going to be your what we call a captain during any particular game week. But
For
unfortunately,
me, Aguero's been my captain every single week.
not a bad one to have. But unfortunately, you can't have all these stars in your lineup. So you need to get creative. You need to get creative and look at value players to cover. So guys like Kevin De Bruyne, 9.8 million. Todd Cantwell, we mentioned earlier, 4.8. Mason Mount, currently at 6.4. Started the season at 6. He's a popular guy. Anthony Marshall started at 7.5. Is now at 7.7. And we mentioned Daniel James. 3 goals out of 3 matches. Currently listed at 6.1 for Manchester United. Hot commodity. So guys like that can cover your lineup without having to spend the amount of money that you would do with a Salah or a Mane or a Sterling.
Right.
On the defensive side, player values are not as pricey. So Liverpool's Trent Alexander-Arnold, he's the highest value defender at 7.1 currently. But players, you're looking at defenders. You want to look at players that push up. So, like, also Liverpool, like Andy Robertson, Everton's Lucas Dean, Kyle Walker, or Luke Shaw. Those guys.
Here's a question for you then with defenders. Are you looking for center backs that are going to get you header goals on corner kicks? Are you looking for wing backs that are going to get you assists and goals on crosses and free kicks? Do you look for a guy like, old school for me with Everton? Leighton Baines took all the penalty kicks. He took all the free kicks. Is that a guy that you look for because they're going to give you goals, or do you think more of the defensive half?
Absolutely. You're looking at chances. So, a center back typically isn't going to give you a lot of chances. So, but if you look at a guy like Virgil van Dijk with Liverpool, I mean, he's a center back, but he's so massive. He's so big. You get a corner kick or a free kick. He's in the box. He can overpower everyone. He just towers over everyone. I don't know how many goals he had last year, but he was, I believe, second in Fantasy Premier League scoring for defenders last year, second to Andy Robertson for Liverpool.
So how do you balance a center back between the two things? Giving up goals, because if you give up goals, you lose points.
You lose the clean sheet.
And scoring goals. How do you balance that? Because
not even that. It's also partially getting assists.
Yes.
I mean, look at somebody like David Luiz, who fucks up consistently, but he's a great ball playing center half.
Yes,
and his now it was a hockey assist this particular time, but he's had a ball over the top to Aubameyang, who then played it, got a little 1-2 at Laka, and then scored. But it was that ball that unlocked the defense.
So what I'm wondering
is... Or somebody like Nathan Ake, who's always in and around the box on a corner.
That's the perfect example. Yeah. Bournemouth is going to give up goals, but Nathan Ake somehow always seems to score goals or create goals.
Right. So he started the season, I think, at $5 million. He was somebody I looked at a lot just because of that, ability to create scoring chances. So you're looking at, for defenders, obviously, like their main mission on the field is get clean sheets. They get 6, I believe, 6 points for a clean sheet. But also like the bonus to that. Do they create scoring chances? Do they score goals? I mean, and these are the guys.
I mean, that's why like Virgil van Dijk is so important.
Exactly.
Because Liverpool's got an airtight defense.
Yep.
But you
not
also
so much so far this year, but it'll come around.
You also have the threat of him from. I think a lot of that's Adrian's fault, to be honest. But you also have a lot of scoring threat and how tall he is, and decent with his feet as well.
Yep.
And the defenders, like you were talking about, and Andy Robertson and
Trent
Alexander-Arnold, where they get a boatload of assists.
Yeah.
And sometimes accidentally score goals that the Premier League fucked up and gave to as an own goal.
Virgil van Dijk, he's the most owned player in fantasy across Fantasy Premier League.
Right,
over
and
50%.
all that does in terms of your fantasy team, right? Players like Aguero and players like Virgil van Dijk is they keep you up to snuff with everybody else because they're the most owned players.
Yes.
Right? So you're just gaining the same points that everybody else is, but that's where your role players come into effect, as you said earlier. It's those value players, those kind of Ryan Frasers of the world, or Andres Gomez, for instance, or whoever, where you have the real value because maybe 0.5% of people have them on their team.
Right. So I don't want you to give away too much, but for people listening who are in there doing fantasy currently, give me 2 people next week, value adds. Who is somebody that, if you had to drop someone, who do you go grab? Who's a value?
I mean, if you get to look at a guy like, this week particularly, you're gonna like this same. I'm looking at Arsenal. I'm looking at Alexander Lacazette, $9.4 million. They're playing at home this weekend. 22 out of his 29 goals so far in the Premier League have been at the Emirates.
I would also double check his injury from the Tottenham game, which I have not done. But he did get stretchered off. I don't know if it was stretchered off in like the 65th minute against Tottenham last time out. So I would double check his injury.
Yeah, him and Aubameyang, 11 million value, both scored in the North London derby last weekend. We mentioned Daniel James, 6.1, great value, 3 goals in 3 games. Guys like James Maddison, like he gets a lot of set piece opportunities. He takes corners, he takes free kicks. I believe he takes PKs as well. So like this guy, I mean, obviously, like
it's not Vardy, it's Madison who takes the PKs.
So these guys, he's gonna get chances to score. Callum Wilson, 7.8. I know we talked about Bournemouth earlier. 7.8 million. They've struggled a little bit, but Callum Wilson has scored a goal or assist in all matches so far this season. He had an assist in the first 3 matchups and a goal last weekend, 2 weeks ago. So he's been on the score sheet for 4 games. And then, of course, and we talked about Kun Aguero. I mean, he's had such a hot start to the season. 40 points in the first 4 start. I mean, 6 goals, 1 assist in 4 games. It's absolutely impressive.
Yep. Very cool. Well, this is pretty fantastic, right?
It was fun.
Yeah. Oh. Thanks, really appreciate it.
I'm in 11th.
I mean, what I've been thoroughly enjoying is the entire time you and I have been talking, my wife and Sam have been writing notes back and forth to one another, passing their phone to one another, and then just looking at me with these long stares.
Gotta keep up on the socials, man.
Which has just been fucking entertaining.
#admin.
It's time to tell you what little we know. It's prediction time.
Yeah, what are we 0-4, both of us?
Yeah, we're both down $400.
All right.
But the chicken's 3-1, so we got that going for us.
And what's Kitty doing?
No. Wait. We get to Kitty. We'll get to that.
Yeah, I thought Pat was a chicken.
Oh, we get to that.
Get
So-
it? It's a diss. It's a dig. Ha.
And that's a dig.
Sam drank a lot of whiskey today. He's trying to catch up.
Settle down. I've taken a whole week off. I've meditated. I've reflected over the entire season. I'm recharged and I'm ready to go. How about you, Sam?
Yeah.
That, folks, is just pinpoint accurate, amazing broadcasting.
Clear, concise. We're already in an hour 10 trying to move forward.
All right, what's your fucking pick then?
All right, so we've spoke about it time and time again about how Leicester has had a great start to the season. They seem to have their identity back under old Brendy and his fucked up teeth. I have Leicester to win at Old Trafford.
Nice.
Right? That's not all.
Going risky.
That's not all.
Are you parlaying this bitch or are you doing 2 bets?
3 times.
Oh.
Leicester to win at Old Trafford. Vardy to score at any time. And the total goals in the game to be an odd number. I have plus 1,050.
Oh, somebody's going big. So
Yep.
either somebody's going to be down
Another
500
or I'm going to be way
or
up.
somebody's going to be up 500.
Yeah. Yep.
You got Vardy with a hat trick, don't you?
No. I have a
Just
2.
a goal. Just a goal.
If I'm really thinking about it, I've got a 2-1 Leicester win.
Yeah,
is really
I was
what I'm
about to
thinking
say
about. Yeah.
2-1 or a
sounds,
3-2 Leicester win with Vardy scoring.
Yep.
Very good. All right,
Yeah.
so JB, you're here. You're in the hot seat. What's
And
your pick?
him making Lindelof look like a cunt again.
Well, Sam, I'm going to go with Spurs at home in Wembley against Palace this weekend, minus 286. Spurs have not had an ideal start to the campaign, but I think all clicks together Saturday. King, Harry Kane, Lucas Moura, Son, Eriksson, Lamella, Dele Alli, etc. Last season's Champions League finalists have a lot of talent that is ready for a good result. I think this side announces their arrival versus Palace. I know Palace has been great the first few weeks of the season. It all comes to an end on Saturday. Shout out to my bud Jamie Moore in Glasgow for picking his brain with this matchup. My Week 5 selection is Spurs.
All right, let me
Except
tell
for-
you and
go ahead.
your little cunt friend.
Hey!
No,
What you
Palace
guys are
is-
missing is after he
Wrong
said that, he
stadium.
waves his mic out, poses, puts his
Yeah, like,
chest towards
boom.
Graham, and
Yeah.
goes,
No.
"What you gonna do?"
let me tell you something.
That's true.
Palace is better than Newcastle, so you've already lost to Newcastle at home. First thing. Second thing, King Harry Kane is nothing more than Prince William's not unborn third child.
Damn.
So fuck him too. He breathes with his mouth, not his nose, which I hate. It's just a pet peeve of mine. Harry Kane, and he blew his load for England yesterday, scoring a hat trick.
He did. He hit a hat trick. So
so-
it means he's in good form. Look at form, not fixtures,
Yeah,
homie.
but that's not right. He doesn't do that consistently. So I think he's going to have a drop off at the weekend. And I think there's underlying problems at Spurs. I would venture to say that Palace is going to win 2.
Dan, I think there's underlying problems.
Or gonna
that
draw.
You are an Arsenal fan, and you hate the fact that I picked Spurs.
I do. That's true.
I was
very
just
much
gonna
do.
bust his balls for saying they're playing at Wembley when they're playing at the new toilet bowl, the new White Hart Lane.
Oh, yeah. So did I say
That's
Wembley?
what- yeah,
did I
you
say
said
Wembley?
Wembley.
I did.
I was going to bust your balls
burn,
on that one.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
I
know,
forgot
you
they
were
were-
just all fired up because you heard the word Tottenham and you started rubbing it. That's
Well,
what
the
you
other-
I watched you rub it while you were just the
Yeah,
minute
down
the
boy.
word Tottenham came out.
Down boy.
Wait, so they're not playing at Wembley? Oh, that changes everything.
It's White Hart Lane. Exactly.
The
Well
other
done,
the
well
other
done.
problem is King whoever is Thierry fucking Henry. All right,
Uh-huh.
King Henry was the first king of England as a forward.
Rude
And that
Van Nistelrooy
Is a twat.
nah, so much better than Thierry Henry. Sorry.
Not a chance.
Nah.
Are you? No. I'm out. Fucking end it now.
I'm just trolling.
All right.
I'm just trolling. I'm just trolling.
All right. You know what? So as far as listener submission goes, we put it out to a bunch of people. I really wanted something. I was gonna put our fucking degenerate gambling friend Pat on restriction.
Hold on. Did you say that you're minus 286? Did we say that?
Yes,
Yeah,
minus
okay.
286.
Minus
I just missed it. Sorry.
So only because he's the only guy who put in a fucking pick. We've got
And now, it's time for our degenerate gambling friend Pat's Pick of the Week.
Thanks, Vincenzo.
Seriously, I really wanted to put you on break because you lost, especially because you were bitchy about the whole fucking parlay thing. But okay, you do write really good emails, so I'm going to give it to you, you fucking degenerate. Okay, I usually pick the primetime game, but fuck that. I need a comeback hit. So I'm picking the Spurs against Palace because I see too much juiciness in this one. I have it as the over-under at 3. And these two teams haven't hit the fucking over since January 23rd of 2016.
So they're due.
7 out of the last 10
Spoken like a blackjack player.
between these two teams have been one-score matches. This is a no-brainer.
That'd be one goal for all the footballing people out there.
130 to so minus 130 to win 100 on the under. You can thank me Sunday when I lose my ass off to the unders in the NFL.
That's what I also loved the subject line: the Hot Spuds versus Crystal Palace. The subject line of his email was brilliant: Hot Spuds versus Crystal Palace.
All right, so you went big to
Oh, I went big time.
super big.
Oh yeah.
So I'm actually
super big time, prime time, game time.
So I'm taking two separate bets because there's no line on what we do. It's not one bet. We can make multiple bets if we want to.
Yeah, no, I
So-
just like winning 1,050 at once. 'Cause
So
I will.
I've got two bets to claw myself out of the hole. First, since I haven't been able to pick a whole game correctly, I'm going to just pick a half. So I'm going to take Chelsea plus 210 to be leading at the first half against Wolves because what has Chelsea done so far? They're in the lead every fucking game other than Manchester United. Every game they're in the lead at halftime. They've given away the leads to Leicester and they gave away the lead to Sheffield. I'm going with them to have the lead at Wolves because Wolves, frankly, are a little weak, a little soft from the amount of games they've had to play.
What we talked about.
Interesting. Isn't Bali on a red card from the Everton game?
Yeah, and I think they're going to be up.
Yeah.
We've also talked about off air as well about Raul Jimenez getting called up for Mexico and having to travel half the length of the world's diameter
Good point.
or circumference to diameters through the middle.
Yeah,
He didn't do
gotcha.
that. He went circumference. He went
pretty
around
good,
it.
pretty good pick from me, wouldn't you say?
Yeah. By the way, the
I mean,
world is
trust me,
round.
Chelsea's going to fuck it up. They're going to end up tying to Wolves, but I just have them winning at halftime.
No, that's fine. I'm just saying. Besides the Europa League tiring them out, Raul Jimenez just traveled halfway across the world for no fucking reason, and then came back. So he's going to be tired So you're right. Chelsea's going to be on top first, and then he'll have a 98th minute penalty again because of fucking VAR.
So second,
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
All right.
Yeah, I
We got-
produced some shit.
Yeah,
we got
lock-
production now, bitches.
Lock of the week. What was that? $20 voice actor? Love it.
You like that one?
Yeah, it's not
With the
bad.
sound effect? I'm very happy with
That's
that
pretty
one.
good. That
So
so far, your lock of the week, though, which I just gather is your pick, hasn't been anything.
no, only last week was the lock of the week, and Villa fucked that up. Thanks, Mel. I hold you personally
No,
accountable.
Kevin Friend fucked that
No,
up.
no, you. It's your fucking fault. It's your fucking fault.
What are we
Villains.
told as kids? You can't blame the referee.
That's not a producer thing. That's a wife thing.
Damn. Wow. Things got tense. Any of you that used to listen to another show that we
So,
produced
hey,
for a
Bob,
while
about
will
that
know.
friend request.
You're getting
Brilliant.
White Claw under Gomeshed.
So, for me, I'm going to take the Norwich City versus Manchester City. The over is 3.5 at minus 162. I'm going to go ahead and take the over on that, which
Good
would win
choice.
me 100. So
That's
it's
definitely a good choice,
It's a
actually.
safe bet. It's a lock of the week. Hence the sound production, bitches.
That's-
Big Sam's Lock of the Week.
That's actually a good shout because
Lock
Sergio,
and load, motherfuckers.
you said it was over 3.5.
Yep.
Yeah, Sergio's going to have 2, Pookie's going to have 2, or City's going to run rampant.
Yeah.
So you're absolute.
I'm looking at 5-2 on this bad boy.
I cannot wait for the 2-1 City win. I'm going to go ham when I come back.
Yeah, it's Saturday league game, right?
Yep.
Yep.
So now, if we gave you that,
Late in American time, it's lunchtime.
that would really be enough. It really would. But no, we give you Kitty the chicken.
Is it growing on you yet, Graham?
A little bit.
I mean, it kind of gets me going.
Just got hungry.
Oh, yeah. We don't, well, I was threatening to fry Kitty after last week, but she was actually home this week when I went up to see her in the coop.
Oh, was she?
Yeah, well, I got back from Chicago, and I went up to visit her, and she and the other girls were chomping on blueberries and peanut shells, celebrating her 3-game heater.
All right.
Yeah,
So,
because Kitty picks games better than we fucking do.
She does.
I mean, that chicken gets around. So,
she was with Jamie Vardy.
well, you know, this week I
Cocaine will
gave
do that to
her
you.
Liverpool, Newcastle. I'm just going to ignore that one. So, Kitty, very excited for this week's game, pulled out her Facebook page. Yeah, Kitty has a Facebook page. Unfortunately, we're not friends of hers, so I don't know always what she posts.
Kitty's
she
a
likes to
fucking
keep
rock
that
star.
shit secret. But she did show me a video of her playing a game of horse. The basketball game?
Yeah.
She was playing with Spice Girl, Mel C, Sporty Spice,
She's fit
and
and gay.
LeBron James.
All right.
So,
Oh, no.
I just meant that.
King
I just meant
James.
that as a chance. I don't have a chance with her.
well,
Oh,
so
no, Kitty.
clearly Kitty has ties to the red side of the Mersey, and that's where her vote's going.
Oh, Kitty. I mean, that's my chicken. Why would she be?
You know,
I mean,
we
it's a
can
smart
only-
You know,
bet,
it's
but-
at
Very
some-
smart bet.
At some
It's a
point,
smart bet.
at some point, the student becomes the master.
I mean, we can always
Jesus.
fry her up if you want to.
So we got, I mean, it's a good choice as well. Last year's joint top scorers, Mane and Salah, should as well be well rested from their international break. Both played in the African Cup of Nations last summer. So this is their first rest, and Salah has scored 3 times in his last 3 matches versus the Tyneside club.
Very good. Very good.
Well,
Oh, God,
there
I
you go,
hate to
guys.
admit it.
Hey,
Fuck
Hey,
off, Kitty. You're
I'm the
supposed
fucking
to be
co-host, mate.
And as always, gamble legally and responsibly.
Hashtag disclaimer.
So, how'd we do?
Yeah, none of us bothered to show up. It was the last game of the season, and we were well safe. Nobody was there, so we decided not to go. However, a game apparently was played between somebody that stood in for us that we don't know, we didn't ask for, and
we won?
beat the team that we were supposed to play, and they won. So they gave us the win for some reason, even though we should have been a 3-0 forfeit loss. Still staying in the league. # Great Escape. # West Bromwich Albion from 8 years ago. 9 years ago, something like that. Yeah, we're safe. Everything's good. We'll start a new season next week. We'll start a new season tomorrow. Tonight.
Yeah.
# tonight. This comes out on Tuesday. It's tonight. Get it? No good?
No, you're fine.
All right.
Yeah.
Y'all are drunk. Bring it home.
Well said.
enough, fair
so,
enough,
Sam, any parting words?
I do. Everybody, make sure you follow us at DUfootballshow on all the social medias. I will be flying out of the country this coming Friday. I'll be in Barcelona for a few days, in Glasgow for a couple of days, and in London for the last 3 of that trip.
Bring home Buckfast.
I will bring home Buckfast, I promise.
He doesn't read my fucking notes.
I will bring home Buckfast, I promise.
This is my whole close. Is me just saying he's going to be out of the country. Go ahead, keep
But
talking.
it's my
Go
parting
ahead.
words, and
I
it's my
didn't
trip.
talk-
Shouldn't I say it?
Read it either.
Go ahead. Talk.
Anyway, so my wife and I will be going to Barcelona, Granada at the Camp Nou on Saturday evening. Kickoff's 9:00 because the fucking Spanish take a siesta, so that's going to be rough because that's the day we get there. And then we're hopefully going to catch some midweek shit in Glasgow, but I'm not sure what's going to happen. Don't know if they're going to be playing at home or not. The old Celtic there. If
Gonna
not,
get your ass up to the space side and drink some proper whiskey.
well, it wouldn't be a problem. I'm just going to hit a Paddy Power and bet on whatever football is happening because I think we got the Europa League back anyway. And then I will be in London Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and I will be attending, Miss Lindsay, the Arsenal-Aston Villa match, which should be a joy.
Lovely.
So you all have a lovely couple of weeks, and I'll see you.
So, JB, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.
Yeah,
bro.
so I will not be in Barcelona. I will not be making a holiday in Glasgow or attending an Arsenal Villa game. But what I will be doing will be watching Fantasy Premier League on NBC this weekend, and hoping my picks in the Fantasy Premier League pan out.
Well, you'll be watching the real Premier League on NBC. Watching the Fantasy League on your phone.
Yeah, yes. Good point. Yeah,
the one on TV is the real one.
Yeah, sure. Good point. But thank you, Sam, and Mel, for having me on your show.
You
Dude, thanks for
really
coming in.
shouldn't thank me yet
Uh-oh.
because
Uh-oh.
all that
Here it is.
deserves a shot of
Ooh,
Malort.
we were waiting for it. I'm surprised you waited for his tongue to be numb with all the whiskey
Hoping
you
I was
drank.
going to escape.
No.
Here it goes.
It was
Cheers,
so
cheers.
douchey. 90% of the shit he said was so douchey. Needs Malort.
Oh, that tasted douchey. Well deserved.
No, what he meant was like an actual douche, like a real live douche.
Yeah, just wait. It comes. Yeah. You taste that bile thing in your throat like you've been puking. Yeah, it's really bad, isn't it? It's really, really bad.
Oh, it hurts so good.
All right, so thank you so much for joining us, boys and girls.
So good.
Why you gotta just jump all over my out?
Because
Because that's the hashtag douchebag thing to do.
Exactly. Well said, JB. Auditioning new hosts for the next couple of weeks while somebody's out of town.
Yeah, but I'm still
and
fucking here.
And JB's doing a hell of a job. So, boys and girls, we're going to mix it up a little bit. We're going to have a couple of fun guests in over the next couple of weeks. You know what? Keep talking to us. We were having a great time, particularly Houston contingent. You guys are fucking awesome. Love talking with you. And till next week, everybody.
Good night.
Everybody move it, move it, move it, move it, move it. Please don't leave
Yes, Sam Graham, suck my balls. There, it is forever in perpetuity.
Forever and perpetuity kind of mean the same thing. So
give a
slightly redundant, Mr. PG County.
It is for forever, perpetually,
And always.
and always the same
My
fucking story.
balls.
Please allow myself to introduce myself.